Felicia
From the
Michaels,
moment
my
you hear his
princess,
voice, you
has
know
been
there are
entertaining
gonna be
audiences
problems.
with a unique
Joey
style
Coco Diaz has
of
been rocking
provocative humor
comedy
since the
stages for
90s, all right?
15 years.
With her
You've seen him in
tongue-in-cheek,
films and
she's been
television,
exploring
but
such
his
topics
real
as
patois, as
dynamics
his
of the
fond of saying,
male-female
are the
relationships,
stories from
or
his
as we call
past
them here in
and
the
his
studio,
chaotic
dirty
views on
thoughts,
life that will make
and
this
the
podcast
proliferation
a different
of the
beast.
sensual
Raw
feminist.
pain and
She's a little
passion is how to
firecracker
really
rolled up, and that's why I
describe
love
this
her, and that's why you're going to love
New
listening. So
Jersey
tune in, all right?
animal. Oh my God, Joey Diaz, you have on your springtime vest. Your springtime casual vest.
I keep shit in my pockets.
Yeah? Your vest is your man purse?
Oh, I hate all this shit in my pockets. That's why when I came in, I was feeling my pocket. What the fuck is this doing in my pocket? Is the thing connected?
Can I? Yes, thank you, Joey.
Thank God.
Joey's new job, besides answering the emails, we divide the responsibilities. My responsibilities is the technical stuff. Your responsibilities is the emails, and you're good at PR.
Yeah,
and
I'm trying.
By the way,
trying.
you bring the audience. You
I'm
do the biggest thing.
I'm trying to fucking get out there and do our thing.
But
my other big job is to make sure the thing is plugged. Because a couple nights I've come over here, we've done great tracks, and then Felicia calls me 2 days later and says, "Hey, the thing wasn't plugged, so we didn't record a fucking thing." You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I get too stoned and forget to look at the curb there on the plug. We're having an interesting conversation, Felicia, and it's subtext. And subtext is very important in your life. A lot of people send us emails every week and say to our podcast, we have great chemistry, but what they mention the most, the word that's mentioned the most in this podcast is the truth. Yeah, we got a lot of people say it's funny. We got a lot of people say it's crazy. The stories are too wild. But the square root of this podcast has always been the truth. And as painful as it is sometimes, but the truth you have to decipher, because there's two truths. You have your mind, which we are programmed by media and society in our mind to try to be politically correct and try to think the positive thoughts, as people say, oh my God, positive thoughts all the time. And then you have your subtext, and that's where you get your material from. Mm-hmm. All these little jokes you come from sometimes, these are your subtext.
Right.
You know, and it's really weird. I've told you, if you take two people and put them on the same journey to walk the same block, and when they come back, you say, describe what you've seen, two people are going to tell you two different things. When I was a kid, when I was about 18, I hung out with this kid, Roger Holloway, who I've mentioned before on the podcast, one of the funniest individuals I've ever met in my life. But on Friday nights, I would black out sometimes. And sometimes I would call him and say, what happened last night? Or sometimes I wouldn't go out and I'd say, what happened last night? I would call Felicia first, who's was a sweetheart. And I'd say, Felicia, what happened last night? Oh, you know, we had fun, we drank, and I had a good time. Roger got drunk, and then I call Roger and I go, what happened last night? That fucking Felicia's a magician. That bitch don't come out with money in her pocket. I came out with 300 and I went home as a magician. She made money disappear. And that other cocksucker, Glenn Conti, he tried to, and he'd give you his footnotes for the night, and they were so on because it was a subtext. He's seen all the crazy shit. And it's weird how sometimes you see something and you think of something. Like, for example, you see a baby, right? And he's with a mom, and she's kind of heavy. And you see the baby, and he's very cute. And you look at the mom and the baby, and you go, wow, that's a cute baby. But your subtext says, if it keeps eating milkshake, it's going to be a fat fuck like the mother. That's the subtext. But the mind tells you that's a pretty baby. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
But on the other hand, you're like, hey, you better watch because you're a fat fuck. You start eating those Captain Crunches, you're going to be a fat fuck like your mother. And that's what I think about, and that's where the humor comes from in my life because I listen to my subtext. People say you have no filter. The filter is the subtext, what comes out to your mouth. And some people have learned to just shut the subtext up. Because your subtext just gets you in fucking trouble.
That's being politically correct.
It really does. When you shove your
correct.
And no, because we still say things that aren't politically correct, but it's what your subtext is really thinking. And I want you to, people that listen at home, and Felicia, I want you to pay attention to this next week and listen to your subtext. It makes you laugh. It's not your inner voice. It's deeper than your inner voice. It's the devil they talk about on your shoulder. For years, people always say we have a saint on our shoulder and a devil.
Right.
This guy tells you fuck her. This guy tells you don't fuck her, you know. But it's the same for life. We just see it through different eyes. And I want you guys to pay attention to your subtext and make notes about what your subtext sees. You know, when some people see me, they go, oh, he's a funny guy. When other people see me, they go, he's a fat fuck. He looks like Fred Flintstone. That's your subtext. You understand me?
Yeah.
So it's pretty weird. We were just talking about that before, and I was trying to break it down for you. And as a
funny.
comic, the comics who dig into their subtext are the funniest comics.
Oh, it's true, because that's when I was married. My ex-husband would always make little jokes to me, and I'm a comic. I know. Yeah, I would laugh, but it would hurt my feelings, because it's like, in order for it to be funny, there has to be this little seed of truth. And I was saying to Joey, like, you know what? I really need to work on, because there are a lot of times where, as a comic, we're being funny because we are doing exactly what you're saying, and sometimes it hurts people's feelings.
But it shouldn't, because it shouldn't because it's your subtext. And sometimes people say things to me and I laugh and I think about it, and then I go, that's their subtext. And they're saying it not in a dirty way or not in a harmful way. Mm-hmm. They're just saying what really is their little demon voice. What the fuck is really. So if you have that demon voice and it tells you funny things, you're not crazy, motherfucker. It's not the weed. It's none of the above. It's you. It's you. And let it play out. It's a funny, and as an only child, I discovered this because I was an only child. And you have to listen to your thoughts when you're an only child, because there's nobody fucking around,
Right.
So you really discover, I read a book once about this guy, and he said that when he was learning a trade or something, they sent him to this one place, and he would see how the guy dealt with people. He would say it was like a plumbing place, and he would get two plumbers on the same job and get people to come back, and what one plumber would say to the guy and what the other plumber would say to the guy is two different stories. And he'd go, I know they're both lying, but if I put both stories together, it's somewhere in between that.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. And it's the same thing. It's not that they're lying, it's that you see things through two different sets of eyes. So.
Well, definitely having kids, I totally see that. Like, I don't believe you, but I'm going to pick and choose, because I know you fuckers what the real story is. And, I was just talking, because I have a friend who's going through a difficult time with a divorce, and she's very angry at this moment. And I just keep saying to her, you know what? Yeah, fuck him. Sorry, guys, but fuck him. But on the other hand, fuck you. You know what I mean? Because I know you. I don't know him as well, but I know you, and I know, like, maybe he just got a little sick of your shit. That was my subtext.
There's two sides to every story.
There's two sides to every story. And by the way, I love that you're bringing up that subject about subtext, because today I had a thing happen, and it was about subtext too. But I think the only problem with subtext is if you let it if you project it out. Like for me, I'm gonna be honest. It's a girl thing, but I'm a mom. When I hang out with other moms, I am so uncomfortable. Joey, your
subtext just going off?
And it's me.
It's just saying little things. Look at this bitch.
Oh, she's probably married to a doctor. And she's probably like a really normal person. And look, she's got Ann Taylor on, and I don't have Ann Taylor on because I'm more of a sleazy chick than that. But I mean, I had to be sleazy because of how I grew up. But I'm glad I was sleazy because I took care of myself. Yeah. She'll never want to talk to me or look at that guy. He's a big writer, and he's married to a big writer, and they never talk to me. I think the girl writer should at least talk to me because she's a comedy girl writer, and I'm a comedian, and I think they kind of know I'm a stand-up, but I don't want to go over there and tell them I'm a stand-up. And my oldest is in 5th grade, and this is shit I've been thinking about everyone at school, since kindergarten. And then today was my oldest son had a thing at school. It was Colonial Times Week or something, Colonial Immersion Week, where they learn about the United States and the colonial states and all this kind of stuff. And my ex was there with his new partner, right. And I'm not going to go into specifics, but it's not good between us. And I was sitting in the back, and and they have a baby, and you know what, they don't even talk to me, but I said, oh, the baby's beautiful. Like, I have no ill will. I just want to raise my kids and get them the fuck out of the house so I can, give up comedy and become an X-ray technician, like how it should be. So anyway, so I was sitting way in the back because I feel so uncomfortable around the other moms because I'm doing all that fucking projecting. And this one mom that I would have never thought to talk to me ever, was walking in, and the ex and the new family were up front, and I was sitting in the back, and this mom comes up to me, puts her hand on my shoulder and says, you shouldn't be sitting in the back, you should be sitting up front, come sit up front with me. And I went, and I was like, oh okay. Straightest chick on the fucking planet, right? Straightest fucking chick on the planet. Oh, like CEO of her own corporation. Oh, okay. And I followed her, and she was wearing her Ann Taylor, and I'm in my fucking, rock and roll jeans, and I sit down with her, and then she turned to me and she said, I understand what you're going through because I am 3 years going through a divorce myself. And she was so nice to me, and it almost made me fucking cry, Joy, because it was like, wow, sometimes I let that little voice spew some poison to myself, and I project it on people. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I don't know why I'm not comfortable in that situation.
That little voice was really insecurity voice.
Absolutely.
That was your insecurity inner voice. And it's funny because a lot of people always think that, oh, Joey hangs out with criminals or gangsters. My closest friends are the straightest people in the fucking world. I mean, my wife. I tell stories to
your
my
wife's
wife. And
super straight.
And I've always thought that it's so weird.
And she's got the most beautiful eyes.
Yeah, it's always weird how people who I think would understand me won't. And the people who I think won't even get me on my page are very open to me because they see something. You know, that lady seeing your pain or seeing your insecurity for that moment.
Yeah.
People see insecurity sometimes. They know what you're going through, you know,
Yeah.
and it's tough what you went through with a divorce and whatnot. It's tough on every level, but it's so weird how that woman felt you, you know, and it's great when somebody feels you. She made your fucking day.
You know what?
She made your fucking day.
It was like 8:30 in the morning, and I'm not a morning person because I work a lot at night doing comedy, but it was really, it really, I almost was on the verge of tears. Like I had to fan my face because it's like, wow, you know, and I really needed to hear it at that moment. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that goes back to the making the day thing. I've always said, like, Felicia, you make my day sometimes, you make your kids' day, and sometimes people just make your fucking day, and you see it. You see it and you feel it, and now you go, ooh, I want to do this to people from now on. I really do.
Yeah.
I want to brighten somebody's day like this. It's not about money or character. You don't have to buy her a drink or you know, bullshit her.
Right.
She just felt it. And that's really nice when that energy is around you.
Yeah.
It's
so it was a cool morning for me.
Yeah. We're back, bitches.
Yes, Joey Diaz.
Beauty and the Beast, Felicia Michaels.
How's it shaking, my man?
I can't call it, you sexy motherfucker. Let me tell you something. The weather cannot be any nicer.
It is gorgeous today.
And while we're talking about it, our hearts goes out to Japan.
And
what happened there, the tsunami and whatnot. Because like I tell people, you know what, man? Every day I sit in LA, we're just postponing it. This could be us. This is one of the strongest earthquakes of all time. And, you know, you're not paranoid. Like I told my friend this morning, you don't have to be a scientist or a psychic or a Scientologist or a revolutionary. Bitch, there's been earthquakes in Haiti, you know, New Zealand, fucking Tokyo, Japan, and magnitude ones that rock the fucking house. Chile, you know, we're on that list. And every day that, you know, every morning I wake up and my house is in order, I give thanks. When I wake up the first half hour, I'm just praying for my friends, my enemies, the spirits who guide me, and I give thanks that, holy shit, I didn't wake up with the lights turned off and my block crumbled and, you know,
yeah,
it's gonna
exactly.
happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna fucking happen.
Well, I mean, look, life is life, and the point is, you gotta live it to the fucking fullest.
You gotta live it to the fucking fullest every day. Look what happened with this week with Mike DiStefano. I mean, great comedian, passes away. They buried him today. My heart and soul goes out to him and his family. But you gotta live it every day. We got some great fucking emails this week.
Absolutely.
And one of the emails we got was a guy who. His mother's name was Joe, and he. It's weird because I hate talking about my mom on the podcast because I don't want to seem like a mama's boy, you know. But it's so weird.
But you
how
are a mama's boy.
When he wrote me the email, I really realized that he wrote me an email saying that, you know, his mom used to talk to him late at night. Also, that's so weird. And,
oh yeah.
And it's weird how life changes and blah blah blah. And I was thinking about, you know, how nice it is because I didn't want to come across like I was a mama's boy. But it's so real when you're 20. And 21 or your mom's alive, you don't really realize how important they are. And it's sad that people come to the importance that their moms are gone after it's too late.
Absolutely.
You know? And I was writing something this last couple of days, you know, I'm finishing up the one-man show, but I was thinking about one of the first times I seen when I was young, the cops raided our apartment.
They did?
Oh, please, all the fucking time when I was a kid. I never told you about that?
You never told me about
So when I was about 5, I lived on... Before 205 West 88th Street, I lived on 89th and Riverside Drive. The building was kind of weird. It was a high-level building with a doorman and an elevator man and shit. And here's my mom. She was the only spick in the building, and there's all these rich dentists and lawyers and basically Jewish people. I'm not going to say Jews because I don't want to. Basically, a lot of Jewish people, and here we're the only spicks. And I'm saying it like this: we're the only spicks on the fucking building. And I mean, you know, to us, this was like a beautiful building and everything. Like I remember my mom bringing goats up. Live goats.
What?
You know, because Santeria, you got to kill goats and shit. And I remember my mom bringing up goats in the elevator that were alive. Like the doorman's like, here's $20. We got to bring a goat up. The doorman's like, no worries. We're bringing the Oh, please.
Are you serious?
Yeah. That apartment was weird. But
where do you even get a goat?
you have to go to Marlboro, New Jersey at the time to get like little baby goats for Santeria things, and the Cubans cook them up. It's a ceremony. But it was so weird that I remember this building, and I remember one time I went to the dentist in the building, and the guy cut me. I told the story on the podcast, and I seen blood. He told me it was something else, so I robbed his ivory elephant, and then my mother made me bring it back.
Oh, right.
That whole story. And then what made us move from that building was my mom had the fuck. My mom always banged everybody. My mom always banged somebody with a 50 or 20. My mom always had that because she knows if you hit somebody with a 20 or a 50, they're going to remember you. So she had the landlord on automatic pilot. Every time she seen the landlord of 50. So one day we got shit in the apartment. I don't know what it was. This is when the women used to hang out. That's the apartment where I really remember the women hanging out. That was the main apartment where the women would hang out.
Your mom's friends,
my
and
mom's
they would
friends.
party,
they do drugs and
change outfits.
Yeah, change outfits. And that was
drink,
the main apartment. And
Yeah.
it was cute as shit. It had like this balcony that went into an alley with like it was like 4 buildings connected, but you had a balcony, and you didn't see the view, but you seen like the alley. But then you had it was really
because
really,
everyone's the
right,
back of
everybody's
everyone's
connected,
apartment looks down into like a kind of a green area.
Right.
And everyone had apartments, and if you had the lower apartment, because we had
Right,
a
we had the
lower
lower
apartment, so we
right.
had a little tiny garden. But
There you go.
But 150,000 eyes are on that little garden.
And then we had the view of Riverside Drive. But to make a long story short, we had a lady downstairs who was my mother's stash pad. And I didn't know this growing up. She was this little old lady that lived in the building, and I used to call her grandma, abuela. So my mom used to always talk to this lady, always be downstairs talking to this lady. Now, I remembered this bust, but there's this kid that lives in Orange County that grew up with me, and our parents were tough. We don't talk anymore because he's fucking crazy, Al Coelho. And he was telling me and Terry the story. He goes, you don't remember you were like 4 or 5, and the cops came, and how your mom got away with the shit. She had a bag with a string on it, and she would lower it to the lower building with the fucking to the lady downstairs.
Really?
And she had the landlord came, knocked, and goes, the cops are downstairs. They came up, they were looking for drugs. They didn't find any drugs, so they left us alone and stuff. So then we moved from there, and my mom didn't have any police involvement after that for years. But in like 75, you didn't know this shit that we got raided? Oh, please. And then in 75 one time.
Were you scared though when that happened?
I was like 4 or 5. They were kind of nice to me. You know, I remember them tearing up the apartment. You know, tearing up carpets.
Did you understand what was going on?
Yes and no. You know, my mom was sitting next to my mom on the couch.
But you knew, don't fucking talk about abuela right now.
No, my mom knew, don't talk about nothing. Don't say nothing.
She always told you that growing up?
No, the key to my house was mira, oye, y calla.
What does that mean?
Look here and shut your fucking mouth. The 3 monkeys.
Say that again?
Mira, oye, y calla. That means look, listen, and shut your fucking mouth in Spanish, right? The 3 monkeys. That's how we live. That's how I lived my life in my house. My mom had those 3 monkeys everywhere.
Yeah.
Just as a reminder, shut your fucking mouth. Don't say a word. The cops come, don't say a fucking word. To this day, cops are around, I don't say nothing. That was instilled in me from my mom. Don't say nothing. You don't know nothing. Nothing. You don't even, you're a mute while they're around because they use everything, and that's how they start fucking with you. Is if you talk, they got you. Once you talk, they got you. So I remember them sitting us down. They didn't find them, and they left. But then my stepdad got out of jail, and then we were raised, and my stepdad was into numbers, and he had a flower shop and a butcher shop up in Hudson Avenue in West New York, and my mom had the bar.
Can I ask a question? What is the purpose of doing numbers if you already got a flower shop and
They're the banks. They're the laundry. Oh. That's how you launder your money. You just can't be a bookie.
So did those businesses make money?
Yes, the flower shop.
But that's what I'm saying. Why can't you just live off the money?
That you make numbers because you have to have a laundry. You have to launder that money.
Why can't you just live off the numbers from the flower shop?
Because these people weren't like that. These people always had an angle for everything. The flower shop, I don't even think my father worked the flower shop. Like, we went and picked up roses, destemmed them, stocked the thing, and then he used that as a hangout. That was a social club type thing. It was a flower shop. They did deliveries.
Beware of the fucking flower shop.
I still remember the guy's name that would do the decorations. His name was Ivan. His name was Ivan Joey Martinez. He was a great guy.
Say that name again?
Ivan Joey Martinez. Ivanhoe Martinez. And So we had the flower shop and the butcher. That belonged to my dad. Then my mom had the bar. They did numbers out of there. But my mom was very happy-go-lucky. My mom was one of these people that talked on the phone. She would put bets on the phone. My dad, till the day he died in 2006, he'd get on the phone, say, hello, ¿cómo está? Bien, everything good? Hold on, talk to her. And then he would have the conversation to a third person. My stepfather was bad to the fucking bone.
What do you mean by a conversation through a third person?
Bring, the phone rings. I pick it up. Hey, Felicia, what's going on? Everything good? Yeah. Hold on, Terry wants to talk to you. You don't want to talk to Terry. You call for Joey.
Yeah.
He would put Terry on, and then he would have the conversation through Terry on the phone. So you couldn't say nothing. You couldn't say to him, hey, what happened with the Knicks? Or what happened with no? He didn't want to know about that.
Yeah.
So before you even got to that you'd say, what the fuck just happened? I was talking to you 1 minute about fucking gambling, and next thing you know, I'm talking to your wife about sport. That's what he did to throw you the fuck off. Don't talk on the phone. He would always tell my mother, don't talk on the phone.
Never leave a trail.
Don't talk on the phone. Don't talk on the phone. Go over there and tell the fucking guy what you got. I'm telling you, my stepdad was, and he didn't do drugs. My stepdad.
He didn't do drugs?
No. My stepdad was so That's what our beef was about as I got older. Oh. He was anti-everything. My dad would stab you.
How did he handle your mom doing
This
drugs?
was the problem. He didn't like this shit. There
really?
It was. He didn't like it at all. Oh, you're doing that shit again. Look at you. Your hand is moving. He'd always tell my mom, your little move, your hand is moving. You're doing that shit again. Because some people's jaw, but my mother's hand would go. You know what I'm saying? Some people's jaw goes. So he hated drugs. So he was always I mean, this motherfucker didn't even like talking in a room that was hung up. That's how bad he was. This is 70s, and he wouldn't talk in a room where there was a phone hung up. He always felt that you could hear through that phone, even if it was hung up. This is how fucking bad to the bone he was. So what had happened was somebody had put a bet in at my mother's bar. They had my mother on bookmaking, but somebody had bought drugs on the payphone. But in those days, they tried to tie it to the bar.
Right.
But I used to go with my stepdad to work every day, sometimes in the summers, and I would see his action in the morning. He would park his car, and before he'd even go into the flower shop, he'd go get coffee, and he'd talk to people. He wasn't really talking to people and getting coffee. He was watching the cars in the neighborhood. He knew every car. He would say, how come Felicia's car is there and your car is there when you got here earlier? He was one of those guys that he knew where you were going to park every day. He knew his 2-block radius.
Yeah.
So if he seen something out of whack, everything was shut down. Shut it down. You got something on, you get it out of your pocket. Get the numbers out of your pocket. Get the cash out of your pocket. Get everything out of your... He was one of those guys. And that's why he stayed on so long on the numbers. In Jersey, numbers is a felony. In New York, it's a misdemeanor. They didn't want to go to New York every day, so they said, fuck New York. We'll do it. We'll put the main bank in New York, but we'll have satellites, like what the Lotto does today.
Uh-huh.
That little front. So it was a front for flowers.
Uh-huh.
When you went to buy the flowers, you said, $2.19, $15. You follow me? So at least you walked out of there with a flower in your hand.
Yeah.
They would never let you walk out of there without nothing. Here, take a flower with you, please.
Yeah.
So one night my father goes to the bar and he sees that there's a car out of place. And I'm coming back from karate. I'm like 10. He goes, go to the Chinese restaurant and see if there's a car with a white guy sitting in it on the corner. And I went up there and sure enough, he goes, come on, let's go. And we had to walk. He had to go to all his friends' house and tell them that the cops were there. We walked like 10 fucking miles all around New Jersey, just going from bar to bar, telling people, hey, the cops are coming. Hey, clean up. The cops are coming. Hey. And we walked back to my mother's bar. We got there like at 12:30, and within 30 minutes, the cops broke in the fucking door. And they threw everybody down on the floor, and they searched us. They even searched me. But my mother had already cleaned the bar out. There was nothing at the bar. But it was amazing how my mom and dad were the chief hiders. They could hide. Like my dad, he knew that this was here. And how would he know? He'd take a little piece of paper and go like this and put it there.
Right.
And he could even tell if you moved it. That's how bad to the bone this guy was. He could even tell if you moved. He would use tape, Scotch tape, clear tape, and put it on the door outside.
Wow.
On the bottom.
Wow.
Because you can't replace it.
He should have been a spy.
Oh, this guy was amazing. So he was very counter to surveillance. He would put hairs.
Yeah.
He would take a hair out of his head and put it in the door.
Wow, it's a good thing he didn't do drugs, and I'm not making it as a joke. It's a good thing.
No, this guy was anti.
You think he was like compulsive?
No, he was anti-prison. This guy was just one step ahead of the game. You could, like I told stories about him. Let's say he was taking numbers right here. He was sitting here with a TV, a newspaper, with a sheet of paper. If the cops came in here right now, they could not find his money and his numbers log, even if it was hidden here. That's how good he was.
Wow.
So even if you did find it, he'd say to you, so what? You found a piece of paper on the floor. You can't pin it on me. It's over there. I'm over here. That's how he was. You know, he was so intelligence guy.
Right.
So I'll never forget, they raid the bar. They got everybody down there searching. They can't find nothing on the way out. There's a guy, his name is Monina. He's still alive. Monina is a slang name for brother. How people call themselves brothers today. There's a part of Cuba that they call you Monina. That means you're my brother. You know what I'm saying? That's my Monina. Fucking Felicia. What are you talking about? She ain't gonna do. That's how they call it. This guy was everybody's brother, so they called him Monina. Like they call him like everybody's brother, and he had a toupee. And I'll never forget that. All the cops got everybody against the wall, right? And all of a sudden at the end, the cops are ready to walk out. They're like, all right, everybody's clean. We're getting ready to walk out. And the cop walks past, and he looks at Monina, and he goes, take the wig off. And Molina took the wig off, and in the wig was a little Scotch tape with fucking coke in it. And they took him to jail. I'll never forget that. And whenever I go home now, I see Molina at the jewelry store, and I always say, Molina, remember that time you had the coke on your forehead? Don't even, now he doesn't have a wig no more because they're out of style. You know, in the 70s, you could trick people and shit with a wig. Now you can't. Maury's wigs do. That is ridiculous. I'll never forget that. They found a little on the way out. Everybody's like, whoo, that was close. And the cop, come here for a second. Take the wig off. And under the fucking wig.
That is why you have to get a good wig.
And that's why I lit the wig on fire. Because I remember that night, if you got a wig, you're fucked up. You see what I'm saying? So it all goes back to your childhood, bitches. And we just figured it out
goes back to.
Right here on Beauty and the Beast podcast. That's what this podcast is about, the truth.
That is an awesome story of Monina. Was that scary for you when you were walking with your father, your stepfather, that day to tell everyone? Like, were you scared? Do you remember that?
I remember how I remember.
Because you know when you're a little kid and shit goes down and you're like, it could be any shit, by the way, and you're like, oh, fuck. Did you feel that, or did you feel safe?
I was scared, but at the same time safe. A friend of mine called from those days, a young kid, that his father, very interesting story, his name is Martin Perez, and his father was Batista's driver all those years. And one time they pulled guns
Batista
out.
from Cuba.
Yeah, he was Batista's driver.
That Castro kicked out.
Castro kicked out. But it was funny, Castro didn't kick him out just like that. He left for $200 million. Him and the fucking, my Jewish buddy, Maya Lansky, the king of the fucking Jews, left Cuba with $400 million. $400 million in 1959. $400 million.
Really?
$400 million. Batista left with $200 million in 1959. That money is still all over Europe. They don't even know whether they were just sending it out in boxes in the 50s.
That was just huge.
$200 million. That's why they said that.
Where did all that money come from?
The gambling in Cuba all those years.
Oh.
And the mob and the fucking money. The mob was doing what they wanted to, and they were just making him payments. He was like getting 10 points of their action. They were making millions every month.
Wow.
Plus, he's just, prostitution. He was getting a piece of everything. But it was very interesting when Martin Perez came over, his father got threatened a lot because he was Batista's driver all those years. So they put him in the federal relocation plan. And he just made contact with me 5 years ago in Miami. I went to do the Improv, and he came to the show, and we talked like once a month, and it was really weird. I go, Martin, if you had to describe my stepdad, because he grew up in that house with me, his uncle was tight with my family, and I go, if you had to describe Juan, what would you describe him? And he goes, just a really well-greased gangster. I mean, he goes, Juan was a very, I said it on this podcast, he was very different, and I catch myself being that different, sometimes. He was just a different type of guy. But fuck it, that's all in the past now, you know what I'm saying?
Well, you know what? I would like to, first of all, say thank you to the people that wrote us emails today, because we got a really nice email from Ollie Boys. Did you
Ollie Boys always sends the fucking best.
That was a really amazing email.
Ollie Boys is our #1 fan down there in Australia. He's the Mel Gibson of Beauty and the Beast. He's down there holding this motherfucker down. We got a lot of great people that are listeners.
There was
Marshall
a gentleman named Gavin.
Gavin, yes.
Gavin sent a really amazing email about and talked about things that we discussed on episode 30s and 31, and had very strong but amazing viewpoints. And so I want to give a shout out to Gavin.
I'd like to thank my man Mike MaxwellArt.com. He sent me the great picture of Charles Bronson. I look at it every day and I go, God damn, how fucking lucky am I? Look at that picture of Charles as an Indian. It's got him with a hat and shit. And I want to give a shout out to a friend of mine that hit me up that, when I tell these stories and stuff, I tell these stories about New Jersey growing up and stuff, and it's weird because I don't think anybody's listening. And this week I got hit by this kid, Mike Negro. That's not his real. He changed his name. His name was Mike Liebau. If you're listening, I want to give you a shout out, Mikey Liebau. Mike Liebau was a bad fucking guitar player when we were kids. Just a bad fucking guitar player. And I had seen him a couple times when I went home, and when I was a kid, I don't know where I went to watch him play a couple times, and he hit me up on Facebook that he listens to the podcast, and he loves you, and he loves all the North Bergen stories, and he sent pictures back for me on him at 86th Street Park, and I want to give him a shout out because it makes you feel good that he knows a lot of the people that I tell these stories about, and I don't even know how he stumbled on the podcast.
Well, by the way, if any of Joey's acquaintances from the Wayback Machine have any pictures of Joey, send it to Joey.
Well, Mike Liebau, I grew up with him in a way. Later on, after my mom died, I lived uptown with the Runnies, and him and his brother lived around the corner, and I was tight with them. They were friends with Steve Runny, and they were a nice group of kids, and it's just really nice to know somebody's listening and give me some validity here to these stories and whatnot. I haven't been home in 2 years, and homeless for me is very bittersweet, how it is for a lot of people. But for me, it's more because when I left in a hurry. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta leave in a hurry. There was no going away parties. Sometimes you have to
really leave in a hurry.
There was none of that type shit. And I've gone back over the years, and it's so weird that, life moves on and stuff. But when you go home, you feel some of the emotions, that you had growing up.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about my biggest emotion. I remember I walked, I used to live on 39th Street, and then I moved to 85th Street in North Bergen. And it's a big town. Our high school was 1,500 graduating class, and this is 1982, so it's a huge town. And I remember walking those streets, like either walking to somebody's house to go get them, or to go get drugs, or go burglarize a house or something. And it was weird because I was always happy-go-lucky, but while I was walking those streets, I had this inner pain. And the inner pain was to fucking get the fuck out of there. Not in a bad way, but just to expand your life. Everybody wants to expand and find the answers. And now I'm going back 30 years later, and I still don't have the fucking answers. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's got the answers, but, I'm going home, and the first night, Saturday night, people are like, well, are we going to party? And I'm like, no, I just want to eat Chinese food and watch the fight at my buddy's house. And then Sunday, I got to go down and visit my buddy who's got the cancer, and he's real excited. I'm going to spend a day down there with him.
Very nice.
And then the story you and I were talking about was that Monday I have to go and see a friend's daughter who passed away.
Yeah.
And him and I had grown up together. I knew him since the 8th grade CYO basketball. And then
He was there when you burned the wig.
Yeah. No, I don't think he was in the car. No,
really?
He wasn't in the car.
Oh, okay.
I've known Darren, for a long fucking time, and in 99 he died, and he left this little baby. Him and the wife had been separated because, like I said, he was a savage. And for the last 6 months, we've been playing around on Facebook, her and I. She's 13, maybe 14. I think she's 13, and she just wants to know about her father. And I got to go there and sit across her. And I mean, I'm sitting and I'm like, what story can I tell her to break the ice? And I remember there was a gas station across from my high school. It was owned by George Amico. He was a Cuban guy. And it was a gas station. And his other job was to bring fruit up from Miami. But before he loaded the fruit on the truck, he loaded cocaine on the truck. And George Amico became a millionaire on that corner selling gas. So my senior year, me and Darren wanted a party or something, and we knew we could rob the gas station. He always had weird attendants at night. I don't know if I told this story on here, and I went and I go, Darren, we need a gun. And we couldn't get a gun, so I went and shoplifted a gun from Pathmark. And here I'm shoplifting this gun to go rob a gas station. And on the way out of fucking Pathmark, I get caught for shoplifting the fucking gun.
Oh, really?
So here I am, 16, shoplifting a plastic gun. And the security guard's a big guy, and this little
what do you mean, like a toy gun?
Yeah, like a toy cap gun. And what I was going to do is you take the toy gun, go home, and you spray paint it, and you put black tape on the handle, and it looks like a gun in the dark, and people give you the money real fast. God forbid they take a fucking gun out and shoot you.
Right.
You're sitting there with a cap gun. You know what I'm saying? You're in no danger.
So how old are you at this point?
We're probably 16. So all week long, we're walking by there. We're having our friend drop us off. We're going to rob the gas station, We're going to rob it. I got the gun, and we're going to say freeze. And Darren was nuts. We're both nuts, He came from a broken home. His biggest heartbreak was in high school, his mom and dad broke up. And it really affected him. It affected him because it was his core. Mm-hmm. It was his belief that your mom and your dad. And And I didn't know that then. I know that now, years later. And it's so weird. So we're outside this gas station all week. This is after I get caught shoplifting the gun on a Sunday night, which is even more embarrassing.
So you had to go shoplift another gun?
No. So one way or another, I finally went and just bought a gun somewhere, like a cap gun, and fixed it, not Pathmark. And we finally went one night to rob the gas station. We get out of the fucking car. We walk into the gas station. And as we walk in, there's a mound of money on the counter. And the kid is washing his hands, like the grease off his hands. And we look at him and we're like, and all of a sudden I look at Darren and we just grab the fucking money and take off. We're like, we just run. We just run for like, half a mile. And we're like, we stop. How much we get? And we had like, the top was like a 20 and everything else. It was like a Jewish bankroll. Everything else was a single. You know what I'm saying? So we robbed this fucking joint for like $62. But that was our luck,
Right.
Darren went down with me a couple times to mug fags. Darren went down there with me a couple times.
Yes, that's what he did.
Darren was
you,
a tough dude.
Yeah.
Darren was very tough. And one of my colorful stories, when he was 18, he came over my house one night, and he was always a wrestler. So he always had a little bit of a chest, and he's like, I got to tell you a secret, and I'm like, what is it? He's like, I've been doing these steroids lately. They're amazing. And all of a sudden he took off his shirt and started flexing for me. And he would do push-ups for me. I'd tell him anywhere, like, Darren, do 2 push-ups, take off your shirt. And he would fucking take his shirt off anywhere. So he's telling me this night how, he fucking, he's doing the steroid. It's a light steroid. He's doing B1, and I can't tell nobody. And it was hysterical how he started telling me how, Coco, I get these fucking hard-ons, and I gotta fuck all day. He goes, like, I could just be laying on my stomach, and I'll get a fucking hard-on. And he's telling me all these weird stories, and it was just wild that, the steroid took him over. But he had told me the secret, and I would take him into bars, and people would say something to me, and I go, hold on 1 second. Darren, do 20 push-ups. He would do 20, get up, and flex for the people, and the people would just turn around. It was amazing.
Wow.
It was amazing. He was just such a great kid, but I got to sit across from her. Ahead,
right. No, I was just going to say, I'm sorry I interrupted you, Joey. No, but I was just going to say, well, I saw the picture of him. You have it in your office, and and he has his shirt off. He's like in a Speedo. And he was like, I get why he wanted to take his shirt off all the time. Yeah, it looked good, yeah.
And by that point, but it was, but I had to sit across from her, and I don't know if a lot of viewers know, when I was a kid, my dad died. And my mom told me he died of a heart attack, but he really died from doing heroin. He did heroin in his nose. He thought it was coke. So I would meet different people, and different people would say, you're Manolo Camagüey's father? Jesus Christ. I knew Manolo. We once went to a bar together, or I met him in Cuba, and he was a nice guy. And it always made me feel different. And even when they tell me like a wild story, like, I got to tell you a good story about your dad. One night we were in Cuba, we picked up 2 chicks. You just want to know about your dad.
Right.
So now I got to go sit across from this girl, the same seat I was 40 years ago. Dying for knowledge about my dad, because my dad died when I was 3. And it's amazing how history repeats itself. So I'm trying in my head, I never prepare a comedy routine. We don't prepare the podcast. We just come in here and talk.
Absolutely.
For this, it's so important to me that I have to prepare what to tell this girl.
So what are you going to say? Like, what are you going to do?
I'm going to tell her that her father was my brother. I'm going to tell her that her father was my friend. The definition of friend, holy fuck. Holy fuck. Holy fuck, What's the definition of a friend? That guy was it. From being 14 and picking me up I remember him picking me up at the bus station when I was doing Syracuse, and picking me up at like a gram of blow, already 2 PM, and a pound of chicken cutlets, because I love chicken cutlets. And I go back to his house. I remember him, coming into the city at 10 o'clock just to give me a ride back to Jersey or drive me to a comedy show. He fell in love with the comedy, even though he was a 24/7 gangster. He loved comedy. He won a contest, I'm going to tell her that, you're going to hear, what'd you hear? That when he died, he was up for attempted manslaughter. Did you also hear what the story was about? Did you hear that it was over $60? So most people would say, you almost killed somebody over $60. To him, he was making a point. He was like, it wasn't about the $60. It was the fucking principle. You sit there across from somebody, you're like, you're going to do 20 years for making a point. But that's what this kid believed in. And even though he was crazy and he did drugs and he was a criminal, he had a belief. And I was part of that belief. So that's what I'm going to tell her. That's exactly what I'm gonna fucking say.
Yeah, I think the only thing you can really just tell her is like just the lovely parts of him. Did he have a great smile? You know,
Oh, please.
how did he, like animals? Like you just have to, you know what I'm saying?
You like animals?
Oh well, I didn't mean to open it like that, Joey. No, I feel a story coming up.
No, there's no story.
Animal story.
No. He was just I remember one time we went to. And he had a bad temper. We went to see Black Sabbath in Philadelphia with Ronnie James Dio. And I told this story on the podcast. He comes up to me. He's like, dog, I just bought 2 hits of Purple Acid for $3. I'm like, where'd you buy the Purple? Did you get me some? He goes, no. I go, where is it? He goes, I took it already. I go, so why are you telling me this shit? So we finally switched for 6-row seats. We get to the show. I'm having a great time. I look down. He's passed the fuck out. And I'm like, I thought you did acid. So we get him up. We go back to the car. It was a great show. We smoke a joint out there. We get in the car, and again, he passes out. And we're driving home, and the next day we're like, what they give you, purple fucking Quaaludes or purple acid? He kept saying, dog, it was purple acid. So we he never won an argument after that when it came to drugs. Bro, that Colombian chick's got good coke. Yeah, she does have good coke, bro. Weren't you the guy that bought the fucking purple Quaalude 10 years ago? Fuck you, cocksuckers. It was acid, It was like, there was so many little things. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't wake up in the morning and pray for him.
Yeah.
Because I know he's up there watching me. And even his cousin, he grew up with Joey Filato. They were very tight. And even his cousin, who we speak weekly, always says to me, he goes, bro, Darren would be there living with you right now, right? And I'm like, yeah. He would be here. He would be a part of my life, smacking people, going on stage, throwing people over fences.
Well, tell the story about Caroline's.
Oh, yeah. He drove me to Caroline's in 1994. I was doing comedy 6 months. And this fucking guy one night, I did Players in Union City. And then I go, listen, there's a comedy contest in Caroline's, and I signed up for it. And he goes, come on, I'll drive you over. Because to him, it was an excuse to go into the city and cop. He loved it. What time's your spot? 11 o'clock. I'm going to swing up to 135, get us a little package just to get the night going. Let's go. I wouldn't do coke before I go on stage, and I was petrified. I was an open micer. And I go down there one night, and I do my little thing. I think I bomb. And all of a sudden, at midnight, Caroline's is having a open mic contest. They always do something, Caroline's. Funniest secretary. And he's like, you mind if I hang out? And I go, you want to join the contest? He's like, yeah, I'm going to try it. And he went up there and won first prize. That's the type That's the type of guy this guy was, So, yeah, I got a lot of great stories for it. I also got a story with me and him.
Well, you definitely got to tell her that story.
Oh, I got a story with me. He came to me one time. He goes, Cokes, I know you owe child support. I know you're having a hard time. You want to make a quick $60,000? I'm like, sure. What do we got to do? He goes, and all of a sudden he went in his car. He had this beat-up car, and he had badges and a DEA jacket. He goes, listen, just put it on and follow my thing. We're just going to go take down drug dealers in Harlem. I'm like, are you fucking crazy? This is how, he just came to me with this. It wasn't planned. He goes, no. You just sit outside these drug dealers and they watch you. You want them to watch you. And when they get paranoid, they fucking make moves and they dump shit. And that's what we're, and sure enough, a month later, he called me and he goes, I'm on this fucking Colombian kid. And on the West Side Highway, the kid pulled over and he couldn't get the trunk open. The guy pulled over and ran out of the car because Darren had been watching him for 3 days. The guy thought he was a cop. So Darren went to a payphone, called me in Jersey. I took a bus over. He couldn't get a trunk open. So we went and got sledgehammers and all this shit. We popped the trunk. There was a kilo of coke in the fucking trunk. And we chopped it up. Fuck yeah. And I paid my child support. I got a little jump on the game. That was my first developmental deal. That was 1994. That was the first Colombian developmental deal I got. I think I got like 15 grand. I covered my attorney fees. I bought some clothes. I bought the baby a few toys. And I fucking caught up. That was the first time ever. He was that type of a friend. He was a friend. And that was what we're talking about. He was really a friend, and you don't see people like that no more. He was my friend in good and bad. And I can't, it's the weirdest fucking thing.
You think if he would be around, he'd be a good guy, though? Like he would stop being a criminal? It wasn't that Darren was a criminal as much as he didn't give a fuck. Some people walk around and they get the tattoo, I don't give a fuck, and they walk funny, I don't give a fuck. No. This guy didn't give a fuck. And that's the scariest people in the world. People who, I'm just telling you, that somebody, he gave somebody $60 for cocaine. The guy never showed up. Darren went to his house, knocked on the glass. Guy gave him the finger. Darren put his hand through the glass, opened the door, went in, hit him. Guy went down. He broke a table leg off and hit him in the fucking head and fractured his skull. And it was the principal
It was the principal, Felicia. It wasn't that he was crazy or that he wanted to coke. And
Well,
you want me to tell you the
don't
funny
tell her
thing?
that story.
No, I can't tell her that story.
Don't tell her
She's
that
probably fucking heard it.
Yeah.
You know, she's probably heard all the crazy fucking stories that there is about him. You know, I mean, and there's 1,000 of those stories. You know.
Yeah.
But that's you know, me going home. That's what I got to deal with. You know, and I see a lot of the places that brought me pain. You know, pain is a motherfucker. And pain stays there. It's like a scar on your arm, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
You cut yourself, it hurt for the first month, it stung, you got stitches, but every once in a while you look at that scar. Gotta go put flowers on my mother's grave.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so weird, like, you just think about it. Like, for some people, they just go on Sundays. I don't have that luxury because she's not close to me, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll go, I'll roll a joint, you know, I'll put some flowers, I'll clean up because I know it'll be a fucking mess in the leaves and shit. And you clean up and you put some flowers and I'll smoke a joint there with her, you know, and ask for love and forgiveness. I mean, you start thinking about what that fucking thing looks like under the hair, you know what I'm saying? And that's it. And I was telling you that I'm on the same aisle as my mother's at. Every time I go to see my mother, that's not what really bothers me for that 1 hour that I'm there or whatever. There's 2 kids that were, you know, young that also died at that time. One kid was a kid named Joey Diaz that wasn't related to me at all. We just played basketball together. And after a couple months before, it had to be because he's on the same row with my mom. My mom was November. So he's like September. He died. He was fucking some drug dealer's wife. And the guy came in and shotgunned that motherfucker.
How old was he?
14, 15, 16. Union City kid. And the guy got shotgunned him. And then there's another kid on there, George Hernandez, who I knew well. I mean, our families were like related through marriage or something. You know, Hernandez is like Smith. And Diaz is like Jones, you know, to the Latinos, you know. So we were both related through, I guess, Z's or some shit. And he was going to Nebraska on an offensive guard football scholarship. And one day he jumped off the George Washington Bridge. He jumped off with his football jacket and everything. Didn't even make it.
Really?
Yeah, it was very fucking sad. And I had just seen him like, you know, a week before that because I remember telling somebody, like, dog, I seen George. And they were like, you didn't hear what happened to him? He committed suicide. Did you read in the paper about it? And then my mother.
So that must be really sad
so
for you to go there. Yeah.
And you know what? I could lie to you and say it's going to be emotional. It ain't going to be fucking emotional because from there I'll go to Chan's Dragon and it'll be forgotten about. You know, I'm not going to be one of those people. Oh my God. You go, you reflect.
Absolutely.
You know, you say a prayer, you smoke a joint, and you move on with your life. It just gives me, when I go back there, it just gives me energy. When I come back here, it opens up new doors. Some people remind me of some new podcasts. The other day I went on Facebook, and a buddy of mine is on Facebook from 30 years ago. He hung out with Rago also, and I went on his Facebook to see how he was doing, and it said, you know, on the left side of Facebook it has all your friends.
Right.
And he popped up, and I go, let me see, because he's moving back to Jersey, and I clicked on it, and one of his things, he doesn't write a lot on his wall, but one of the things from November, it said, today, me and Joey Diaz tried to rob Putnam Fuel 30 years ago today.
Oh, yeah.
And I looked at the date, I'm like, November 17th, 1979 or 1980 or 81, it had to be. And I'm like, in 1980, I go, it makes sense. My mother had just died. We used to rob this gas station all the fucking time.
The same gas station?
Yeah, we robbed it like 4 times. Julio Gamio worked there. They got me a job pumping fuel there. And that's where I learned how to hang pumps and fuck around a little bit. And then after we quit, there was a guy his name was Freaky Freddy. And he would buy coke from us. We were kids. And he'd go, how much for an 8-ball? $3.50. You know, he'd give us $3.50. 8 balls are $2.50.
Right.
You know, but he'd give us $3.50. So we'd make money off him. And then finally one day we said, let's just rob him.
Jesus. Jeez.
So we lit this fire by the trains, and when he ran over to them, we ran and hit the cash register, and we had masks on, and he never knew it was us. And
wow.
Freaky Freddy. I had an interesting childhood.
I know,
really
shit,
did.
Joey.
I had
I'm
a lot
all
of
like,
fun.
what?
I had a lot of fun growing up. I really did.
It is amazing that you are not in prison right now.
It's amazing I'm still alive. When I got over here today, I knocked on the door. Felicia was in a robe and a fucking.
I know, because I thought you said 10:30. I was in a
20 years ago,
robe,
I
like
would've
I
just
just gotten
tackled
out of
you
the
and ate that
shower.
little
My
fresh fucking
mascara
monkey.
was running down my face like a
I'm telling you,
to my
20
titties.
years ago, I would have tackled you and ate that
Really?
monkey. Oh, fuck yeah.
Wow.
Fresh right out of the shower.
Even with mascara death eyes?
I'm not eating your face. I'm eating the monkey. It's 2 different fucking things. Your face is your face. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking about one time, like before I had hair, like in that pre-hair stage. Guys know what I'm talking about. You get a couple pubes on the side. In the middle, it takes a long time for the middle to fill in. For a long time, your dick looks like Bozo. It just has hair on the side, and the middle's bald, like a generally balding man who has the male pattern, you know, and then the middle fills in. But I remember one time, like, I had a swelling. And what happens is, as a guy, sometimes you get horny, you get something, you get you get excited. And even as a young guy, you get excited. You see a girl's leg, or your mind runs away with you, and it's like you want to come. I don't know what it was, but I had a lump there.
Yeah.
Like the cum got stuck. I didn't whack it out, and it got stuck in there. And I remember,
how old were you?
I had to be maybe 12 or 13.
So you were jacking off.
I don't know.
And
I knew that at this time I had started jacking off,
Uh-huh.
but I remember one time, like, I had this lump, like next to like a ball, like next to my dick. Like
inside?
Yeah,
in
like
the
a
tubie?
lump. You know, I wasn't
in
having
the tubie,
sex
that's
or
the
nothing.
medical term.
No, it wasn't in the tube. It wasn't in the dick itself. It was on the side.
Oh, it was on the side,
And I
right
had
here?
a couple hairs there and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, I didn't know how to tell my mom, so I said, I know, I'll show it to her in the morning when she's not really when she's not really awake. And I remember waking her up one morning, going, Ma, what is this? And showing it to her. She's like, it's your dick. And la pinga, what's the matter with you? And I'm like, no, I know it's my pinga, but what is this lump here? And she's like, what? I don't fucking know. And, you want to go to the doctor? You want to go see Del Valley or something? I don't. But it's so hard, like sitting back. And then you were saying, like, the hard on. Like, I went through a heartbreak in the 6th grade. In the 7th grade, I went through a heartbreak that was just emotional. As a man, as a kid, I really did. I fell in love, like, in the 6th grade. She told
With
me
who?
With this broad. And she told me, it's a girl that was in the 6th grade. And she told me she's gonna have sex with me. And every afternoon we go back to my house.
In 6th grade?
Oh yeah. We were in 7th grade.
Okay.
7th grade.
Oh, all right, good.
We were in the 7th grade, and I got left back over the pussy. That's how good it was. And she never even gave it to me. This was all dry humping and listening to Earth, Wind, and Fire and Al Green and shit. And I would dry hump her, and after the breakup, we got caught playing hooky, and my stepdad caught her without a shirt on one day, so we were banned from seeing each other, and I was heartbroken. And I got over it, and then, like my mom would say that, my mom would make little jokes at me, you got to go out there and get a new girl, and all this shit. But she was like, there was a time when I had a lot of rope, and as you get older, there's a time when you become like 13 or 12 where your mom tries to re-grab you again.
Yeah.
She reels you back in. This is her last hope.
Right.
You're starting to talk to girls on the phone. Girls are calling the house to talk to you. My mom would say, who's this little fucking whore on the phone calling here?
Really?
Yeah, because it hurts their feelings. You're not their little girl no more.
She had the phone in her hand saying
Yeah,
it,
but
so
she
they-
was covering it.
Right.
My mom had a little bit of class every once in a while, and I'll never forget that one night, for a while that she would wake me up and I'd have hard-ons. So I would like go in the bathroom and hide for a little while. You don't want your mom to see you with that morning hard-on. And as a kid, you wear those pajamas with the feet in them.
Yeah.
So your hard-on's got nowhere to go. It's just there. It's there for everybody to see. So unless you wear like a long shirt and you're eating cereal and you're trying to cover it, and moms know, and
No, they know. They know.
and she would say little things to me, like when your mom said, "Tabayako," that means, are you horny? My mom would ask me, what's the matter with you? You horny or something? Like I would say, Mom, that girl's pretty. What, are you horny or something? And finally one night, my mom fucking woke me up at 3 a.m, took me downstairs. There was other women downstairs, like one of her girlfriends or something. I don't remember who it was. And there was a couple guys downstairs. My stepdad had left already. And they were just downstairs after the bar partying. And my mom's like, dance with that woman. She wants to dance with you. And I remember dancing with her and having the pajamas on, and my dick was rock hard.
Really?
And finally, all the guys going, go upstairs and get dressed. Like, my mom brought this girl home for me to fuck her. I've told the story on here before.
Yeah. No, I know that, but
And
I
just
didn't know it. You didn't tell it in this kind of
In
detail.
this kind of fashion.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the reasoning behind her bringing the woman home.
Yeah.
Was that she was noticing the hard-ons.
Oh.
And she's like, I just want to get this out of the way.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
She's all business.
She was all
She needed
business.
you focused.
And I remember they made me go upstairs at 4 a.m. I had school the next day, and they made me get dressed up and, grease my hair because this is your girlfriend. And she's like an older woman, and I remember dancing like on her feet.
Yeah.
Like I was a little kid dancing with her. Next thing you know, she took me upstairs, and I just blacked out. I don't know if I fucked her. I don't know what happened. But I remember the next day, my mom giving me Listerine. Like, I remember this shit. Like, my mom going, hey, take some Listerine. You know what I'm saying? It was never talked about again. My mom brought a woman home for me.
Oh, my God,
And
Joey.
just got it out of the fucking way. Could you bring a girl home for one of your boys?
No,
Never. You would
no.
never bring a hot chick from the bar, some
No,
cougar home,
no.
and tell her, listen, I'm gonna give you 100. Go in there and put that monkey in my son's face. Just put it on.
No, I can't say I would do that, Joey. Wow, was that? Wow, did that scare you, or did you like it? What was your feeling?
You
like,
know,
that's...
you hear me on the stories and you hear me on the blogs, and I talk to you about when I write. I remember shit and I think about it. I'm gonna be as honest as I can with you. I don't remember if I fucked her. I don't remember if I ate her pussy. I think I maybe got scared and passed out. I don't remember because I don't remember ever mentioning it to nobody.
Right.
Like for years, I didn't. Like that was one of my mother's craziness, embarrassing routines. Now in hindsight, I'm like, how fucking cool was my mom?
Yeah.
You know, at that time, I'm like, how fucking disgusting is my mom? You know, because I was a prude. You know, I'm like, how fucking disgusting is she to bring a woman home from a fucking bar for me? I don't even know what happened. I didn't tell my friends. I would be too embarrassed to tell my friends at that age. You know. Who knows? I don't know if I ate her ass. I don't know what happened. You know, I wish I did. You know.
Do you think that affected you at all in any way? Was that the first time you?
No, I had had sex before.
You had sex before?
Yeah, I had sex before.
But your mom didn't know that?
No, she didn't know that.
Who was the first person?
This girl named Evie Rivera. I talked about on the Rogan podcast. Our parents used to run a numbers operation together. My mom and her dad had a bookmaking dry cleaner in the Bronx together in the 60s and 70s early. And the wives, we were all family, we were all friends. And on the weekends, I'd spend some weekends up there, or some weekends she'd come down to Jersey. And I was maybe, you know, I had no hair. I know she had hair. And she would let me fuck her in the mornings. We'd sleep in the same bed. It was very innocent, you know, but we'd fuck in the mornings. I don't remember what I was doing.
Yeah.
I have no fucking idea, you know.
Well, at least that's your first story. You know what I mean? It is weird when you're as a girl, when your vagina comes in, the hair, you know what I mean? Like, I remember one day I was taking a bath. I think I was like 11 years old, and there was like a 3-inch hair in the middle of my vagina, like right here. And it was like, whoa. I must have never looked at my vagina for it to grow 3 inches before I noticed it.
Did you wash it then?
I petted it and put conditioner on it.
Oh, it's amazing when you get your first hair, you're so happy. You're like, I've arrived. I'm ready. And nothing happens. You know, you go buy a condom, you put it in your wallet, you think shit's gonna start happening, but nothing happens. It's all smoke and mirrors. You still gotta work for it. You know what I'm saying?
Unless you have a mom.
And I was always that's what really affected me, because I have no hair.
No, you know what I was noticing, because I know you didn't have
no
on your
hair.
legs, but even on your arms you don't have any hair.
It took me, 15 before I got hair on my dick, and it was full. You know, everybody else had hair when they were 12. I had for years I had 1 or 2 hairs, and one would pop out every. You know, I have no hair, so it's the fucking weirdest thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's it, my love.
I think we're
Hey,
good.
I just want to talk to you about something that people ask us all the time. You will be in Chattanooga this weekend.
I'm going to be in Chattanooga starting on Thursday the 17th, going to Sunday the 20th.
And what time are the shows?
The shows are at 8 o'clock, and I'm assuming 8:30, and then Friday, Saturday is probably 8 and 10 o'clock.
So Chattanooga, the Comedy Catch.
The Comedy Catch in Chattanooga, and it's a club, by the way. The owner of the Comedy Catch, a gentleman named Michael Amato, he's a really nice guy, and I used to work for him in the Wayback Machine. And like when my son was born, he gave me a little kid baby Bible. It's very sweet.
Very nice.
Yeah, my kids had that for a long time.
We
never opened it and read it, but we had it for a long time. I don't know the phone number.
Okay, so
yeah,
you'll post it on your Facebook.
It's going to be on my Facebook, Chattanooga, Tennessee, at the Comedy Catch.
And I will be nowhere this weekend, but Tuesday, March 22nd, I will be at the bitter end in New York City, 147 Bleecker Street. The show starts at 9. There's no advance tickets. You got to get tickets the night of the show. They'll be $15. Come on out. I will have some Beauty and the Beast shirts with me for sale. Hit me up after the show. Beauty and the Beast link will be up by the time this podcast goes up.
Yes.
I'm going to send them a bio so you can order your Beauty and the Beast shirt direct. We've also gotten a couple of donations. Again, I'd like to thank everybody.
Absolutely.
Because it all helps out. I mean, you guys have been great, and we do this basically for you guys,
Absolutely.
And while we're at
we enjoy it, too.
That's right. We enjoy it. We get to see you and get to talk to you about your kids, and I get to scare you about their fucking future. What to expect.
I know, it's so depressing, Joey. I'm already there like, oh, no.
I love it. I love it. I love it because it's easy. It's going to be the easiest, hardest thing you've ever done. The answers are right in front of you as a mom.
Yeah.
You've been around men all your life. You like men. And
Right.
this is your fucking chance to.
I tell you, having little boys makes you look at men differently. It does, because you're totally like, oh, I get.
Now you fucking get it now. Now you see why this
you know,
fucking Momo acts the way he does. Because when he was 8, Mom didn't let him fucking walk around with pajamas on. Now you understand it. Something.
That's what the thing is. Like when I feel like when I'm disciplining my kids, I think, wow, I wonder if this is where I'm fucking them up. Like I wonder like what stuff they're gonna pick and choose to hate on later. You know what I mean?
They're gonna hate and love on it. Hey, listen, like I just told you, my mom brought a woman home. At the time, I thought it was disgusting. But now, 30 years later, I gotta applaud the bitch because she just broke it down. She had a tough job on her shoulders. She was a mom and a dad.
She had a tough
And that's
one.
what you got. And that's why I applaud you every time we're here. While we're at it, I want to thank the sponsors.
Our lovely sponsors.
Skin Industry. Oh, shit. We got it together. Go ahead,
again.
Milo.
Our sponsors, our lovely sponsors, adamandeve.com. If you go to Adam and Eve and go down to the promotional box, you can put my name in and you will get a free gift, free shipping, some DVDs. It'll be a package. You'll love it.
And you can go to skinindustries.com, a leader in athletic apparel. Get your Skin Industries stuff now for your motorcycle or yourself. Go on to the Beauty and the Beast page and you can order the shirts and we get this party started. Thank you very
Let's
much,
do
Felicia.
it. Thank you, Joey Diaz.
Another
You cheered
great
me up today,
week.
Joey
You
Diaz.
cheered me
Thank
up when you showed up with the robe. I was like, look at this shit. God is smiling at me and
Yeah,
stuff.
with a dripping monkey.
I love it, guys. Have a great week. Stay black. Mwah.
Mwah.